Late, quite a bit late. Here in California, it is 12:03, and it took me that long to look at the news of the day. It was actually very interesting today. Juca, I think, had the most information, so I decided to do a video translation of Juca. Juca showed us some numbers which were quite revealing. These are the numbers of the coalitions. So yes, Noroña was saying that PT had 61, and it was more than the PRI had. But what they're doing is they're looking at the numbers of the coalitions. So that's how they came up with those numbers. So I guess the president was actually being um, direct when he said it. So anyway, uh, we'll go ahead and let me see here. I'm trying to check on this for a second. Give me a second. So we're we're live here. Okay, so I'm gonna open this up.
Meet Melio.
Whoa, I gotta silence that. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to open it up so I can send it to my friends. And here we go. Copy. And let's open up the chat. Okay, good. All right. So this is, oh, we got Victor Gonzalez says saludos. Saludos a Victor. Okay, you know what? I'm going to try and put the when it gets to be a little bit busier, I'll put the chat in there. But right now, there's only one person. Okay. Saludos, Victor. Okay, so I am going to put the. Let me give this to the friends right there. Let's see. Here we are. And paste. And so then let me just hand this over. I don't know if anybody's going to be awake now. Everybody's probably sleeping. But I want to share with them regarding the findings of Juca, whom I think is on the money. He's actually right. I think the PRI and the PAN are just sitting back laughing at the Morena party people arguing amongst themselves. And yeah, so I think at the end of the day, I came and I did, since I had to work today, I had to wait and see what happened. Because when I left, yes, I already knew they had won, but I didn't have time to do a video. But I didn't know what was going to happen at the end of the day. And people are really upset and calling the Morena party traitors because they had moved from one party to another, but that's okay. It did solidify, though, that the people are behind Noroña. And that is actually good news because I think he's really good, really earnest. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and start at the beginning, but I wanted to start it off with these numbers because I thought these were very relevant. So, we'll start with Juca. And I'll translate what he says. Okay, and let's see. And so this is Juca. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. I have a lot of favorites, but he's one of my favorites. Okay, so now I've got to put the volume up because this one needs to be
Sobre
unmuted.
este tema que está pasando en la mesa directiva en la Cámara de Diputados. Y vamos a hablar en crudo, las cosas como están
So he says, I'm going to talk to you raw.
pasando.
Things, how they're happening.
Primero, le vamos a saludar a las personas que están sumando.
And so he's going to say hello to the people that are on there. So we're going to skip that a little bit. Because, yes, that's nice, but I want to get to it.
Voy a reproducir este video y después de esto vamos a empezar.
And so he says he's going to show this video, and after that, we'll start.
¿Falta algún diputado o diputada por votar?
And so here you can see the numbers as they were voting. And see, this is where they're voting for the lady president, Dulce something or other. And so they were voting a pre-party person in. And so there's 310 in favor, 22 that voted in absentia, and then we have 124 against. So, you can see who's ahead there.
Ciérrese el sistema de votación electrónica.
And so she said, stop the electronic voting mechanism. Stop it already. The electronic voting mechanism.
El resultado final es el siguiente.
So she said, the final result is the following.
A favor 313, en contra 123.
And so she's saying what I said about a minute ago, in favor, in absentia, and against.
Abstención 21. Es mayoría calificada.
Aprobado el acuerdo por 313 votos, es mayoría calificada.
So there was some kind of agreement that they made that they wouldn't do bad things if they got in the position. So she says the agreement is well, that it's approved. So that was one of those things that kind of was like not sitting well with me. But anyway, I don't trust the pre-party very much, but as it turns out, the position of the president is just like what this lady's doing at the desk, is just to give people a chance to talk, to prevent people from talking over each other, stuff like that. So it's not actually a position of any kind of power. And unlike what somebody had said before, that if the president anything were to happen to the president, that they would be in charge or something. No, it's actually the secretary. There's a lady, I can't think of it, Olga. She's the one who would become the president if anything happened to him.
¿Con qué objeto, diputado Delgado?
So anyway, this is where someone was trying to get a word in, but she didn't let him anyway. So here's another thing. So this is what Juca put on his tweet.
Yo quiero que me comenten, y en serio,
So this is what he wrote. I'll read it to you. It says, today I'm going to read the law completely regarding the matter of the table of directors in the House of Representatives. And I do not plan on accusing anybody of being a traitor until I have the law very clear in my mind. And so then he says, we'll talk about it a little later on the matter, okay?
Quiero que me comenten si van a aguantar lo que les voy a decir.
And so he says, I want to know, do you guys comment if you think you're going to be able to take what I'm about to tell you?
Porque no son cosas suaves.
Because they are not gentle matters.
Todo este tema sin duda nos encabronó a muchos.
Because this matter made a lot of us angry. And some people actually said on Inti News, I was watching Wilmer's channel, someone said, man, this is better than the, like, what do you call them, like telenovelas or like where you see those those shows. The people there was so much excitement in Mexico regarding this whole situation. People were really angry, and calling them traitors and feeling like the world's coming apart because a pre-party person got in this position, which the people don't want them anywhere.
Nos dejamos llevar por nuestras emociones, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera.
And so he says, and we let ourselves be taken by our emotions, etc.
pero estamos apoyando una transformación.
But he says we are supporting a transformation, though.
Y dentro de esa transformación es no doblar, enchuecar la ley para complacernos.
And
Ajá.
so he said,
Entonces, ¿cómo?
within this transformation, though, we agreed not to do anything that would harm or damage, or be illicit, or do anything to damage the honor of the transformation. Oh my goodness.
Coménteme primero si van a aguantar, porque
So he says, but let me know first if you're going to be able to take it.
si no, pues cancela el en vivo y ya no le seguimos.
If not, then I'll cancel the live chat and we'll start again.
Escribí esto hace un momento. Voy a leer la ley completa en el tema de la mesa directiva de la Cámara de Diputados. No pienso acusar de traidor a todo mundo si no tengo claro lo que dice la ley.
So he says what he read on there, regarding that he's going to read over the law.
Al ratito hablamos del tema y vaya que apoyo a Noroña.
And he says, and I support Noroña, by the way. And he said it kind of like wholeheartedly.
Se los he dicho. Yo simpatizo con Noroña, sin duda. Me gusta sus formas de Noroña, su gallardía, su valentía. Sin embargo, hay que ser claros con lo que está pasando. ¿Qué dijo el presidente de esto? Y antes de que empecemos a hablar ya más en crudo, quiero que escuchemos lo que dijo el presidente Andrés Manuel justamente sobre este tema.
And so he says, before we start talking about this, I want to see what the president said specifically regarding this topic.
La ley, el reglamento.
He says the law and the rules.
Es como pasó hace un año.
It's like what happened a year ago.
Y di mi opinión.
And I gave my opinion.
Y lo quiero y lo respeto muchísimo, el licenciado Muñoz Ledo.
And I care for and respect very much licenciado. Gosh, every time I go to say his name, I forget it. Gómez Ledo, I think he said.
Pero, de acuerdo al reglamento,
But according to the rules or regulations,
el primer año, la presidencia del Congreso corresponde al partido que obtiene más votos.
so the first year, the party that obtains the most votes gets to be the head of the cabinet, or House of Representatives, or what do you want to call it? It's House of Deputies, but it's like a cabinet. It's kind of weird how they use it.
O más escaños, que tiene más diputados.
So the one that would have the most deputies.
El reglamento se establece segundo año para que obtiene segundo lugar.
And so the second year for that one that had second place.
Y correspondía al PAN.
And that went to the PAN party.
Pues se quería modificar el reglamento.
But they wanted to modify the regulations.
Y como se tiene la mayoría, se puede.
And because they have the majority, they could.
Pero no se debe.
But they should not.
Porque la política es un imperativo ético.
Because politics has an imperative that's ethical.
Entonces, si está establecido
So therefore, if it is established
de que para el tercer año es el que obtuvo el tercer sitio, así debe de ser.
So if the law says that the third place goes to the third year goes to the third place, then that's how it should be,
Y se debe de respetar.
and that should be respected.
Morena tiene mayoría y sin duda podría modificar lo que quisiera. Dice el presidente, claro que se puede, pero no se debe. Si estamos buscando realmente una transformación, estar maniobrando no.
So he said Morena has the majority, and they could definitely move things around so that they could have the majority, but they shouldn't.
No es transformación y es más de lo mismo. Ojo con esto. Ahora, nos estamos peleando y le estamos diciendo traidora a Tatiana Cloutier, le estamos diciendo traidor a Mario Delgado, le estamos diciendo traidor a todos los diputados de Morena y nos estamos peleando, perdón, por una pinche mesa directiva.
And so we're calling Tatiana Cloutier and Mario and he said all these people, these deputies that voted, we're calling them traitors, when in fact it's just the table. It's nothing significant, I guess.
¿Y saben qué va a ser la mesa directiva?
Do you know what the director's table actually stands for?
Y escuchen con atención porque ustedes también
And I want you to pay attention and listen, because you also
van a decir, por esto nos estamos peleando.
are going to say, for this we were fighting.
Ojo, porque es importante decirlo.
Keep your eye on it, because it's important to say it.
Noroña, yo lo respeto mucho,
I respect Noroña very much,
pero Noroña nos dijo que si había un escenario en que mataran al presidente Andrés Manuel López Obrador, el PRI al frente de la mesa directiva tomaría el control. Eso es falso, ¿eh?
so he said that he respects Noroña very much, but that he said that if anything happened to the president and the PRI was at the table, that they would take over, and he says that is false.
Eso es falso. ¿Y saben quién tomaría el control? Pues sí, la secretaria de Gobernación, su segunda.
So it would be the Secretary of Government, his second in line.
Tatiana Cloutier desmienta al PT, falso que si algo le pasa a AMLO, el PRI lo reemplace. Eso es una mentira.
So it is not true that the PT, the pre-party would replace the president if anything were to happen to him.
Y la Constitución lo dice.
And the Constitution says it.
La secretaria de Gobernación tomaría las riendas.
The Secretary of Government would take over the reins
En este caso.
in this case.
Entonces, por ahí vamos empezando.
So we'll start there.
Nos estamos peleando, lo repito y perdón si se molestan. Les dije que no le va a gustar a muchos.
And we're fighting about something, and I told you, a lot of people aren't going to like what I'm about to say.
Voy a diferir incluso con algunos compañeros youtubers.
And I'm not going to be in agreement with some of my friends that are YouTubers.
Pero nos estamos peleando por una pinche mesa directiva. ¿Que saben qué es lo que hace la mesa directiva? Esto. Y les dije que iba a leer sobre el tema.
So this is Article 20, where it talks about what the director of the table is, what their job is. And it says here, I'm going to read it to you, or translate it. It says, the director's table conducts the sessions of the House and assures that there is the appropriate development of debates, discussions, voting, and in its full, it guarantees fully the work of legislators to prevail as disposed in the Constitution of the law. That's number one. Number two, it says the table director observes in their behavior the principles of impartiality and objective, and will be objective and or objectivity, and will have the following attributions. They will assure the adequate development of the sessions in the full spectrum of the House. They will realize an interpretation of the norms that the law, and besides that, the orderliness of the related to the activity in Parliament, and shall require for the compliance of its attributions, and also for the adequate conduction of this session. Okay, and they will formulate and comply with the order in the day-to-day sessions, which will distinguish it clearly in matters of that require voting, and those others that simply are deliberate or short, brief, that conform to a calendar's legislative established for the conference, and for the direction of the program in the work legislatives. Okay, that's interesting. See, that's not what we just didn't know exactly what their job was, I guess, right?
La mesa directiva, artículo 20. La mesa
Okay, so I'm going to go past that because he's going to read in Spanish what I just read. So now I'm going to go to the other part. Okay, so the number, let's see. Okay, so the D is the one I was not being able to see. They will, during the sessions, they will determine the forms which could be adapted in the debates and discussions and deliberations, taking into account the purposes of the groups and the parliament. Okay, and they will, number E, or E, letter E, it says they will be cautious with the I don't know, the rules and proposals and motions and communications, and anything that was written or writings which comply with the norms of that are regulated and formulated for presentation. They will determine the sanctions in relation to the conducts of the attention against the discipline of Parliament. Okay, so that's what the job is. So he's right. It's not that big a deal.
comunicados, determinar las sanciones con relación. A ver, ¿saben qué hace la mesa directiva? Organizar las sesiones parlamentarias y
So you see, all that table of directors does is organize the meetings,
nada más,
and that's it.
nada más. Entonces nos estamos peleando
So therefore, we are fighting
por esto.
for this.
Y no se les hace raro a todos ustedes.
And
Pero
doesn't it seem strange to all of you?
analícenlo, hay que analizarlo. O sea, no.
So let's analyze it.
Y es en serio, yo estuve pensando
And seriously, and I've been thinking about it, he said.
mucho para hacer este video.
And I thought about it a long time in order to make this video.
No se les hace, sí, no queremos al PRI, dice por acá un usuario, pues sí, no lo queremos.
And so people are saying, but we don't want the PRI. And he says, yes, we don't want them.
Pero ¿saben qué tenemos que hacer si de veras no lo queremos en el 2000?
But you know what we must do if we really don't want them in the year 2021?
En el 2021 quitarlo por completo.
We need to remove them completely.
No votar por el PRI,
Not vote for the PRI party.
quitarlo por completo y que no haya rastro, no haya polvo del PRI, que se les
And we need to make sure that there is not even a trace of the PRI party.
quite el registro porque no alcancen votación.
And we must take away their registration because they won't have enough votes.
Y si seguimos peleándonos que Morena traidor, que PT, que
And if we continue fighting amongst ourselves, Morena, the traitor, PT, this and that,
esto no se va a lograr porque los votos
then it wouldn't be attained because the votes would be
se van a dividir. ¿Qué
divided.
les dije hace unos días y se lo voy a poner aquí
And so what did I tell you a few days ago? And I'm going to put it on here.
antes de continuar con esto? Porque es también importante. ¿Ok?
And what I said to you, it's also very important, so I want to show this.
Aquí tengo varias cosas que les quiero andar enseñando.
And there's various things which I want to be showing you.
Chéquense esto que les puse igual hoy por la tarde. Sospecho
And so he says, I put this tonight in the evening. And it says, I'm suspicious of the campaign against Morena on the part of the PRI and the PAN. It surges in effect, as we are finding out. They are they just keep saying, we just keep saying that Morena is a traitor, and we ourselves are repeating it. We need to wait to see for the last votings at the House, and we'll see.
Que la campaña en contra de Morena por parte del PRI y el PAN está surgiendo efecto y no nos estamos dando cuenta. Ellos se la pasan diciendo que Morena es traidor y nosotros ya lo estamos repitiendo. Hay que esperar a estas últimas votaciones, etc. A ver, y se lo digo en serio, ¿no se les hace raro a ustedes que en toda esta discusión el PAN está muy calladito?
He says, aren't you
¿No se les
surprised?
hace raro?
Doesn't it seem funny to you that during all these discussions, the PAN and the PRI are very quiet? Doesn't it seem strange to you?
El PRI está muy calladito.
They're both very
Estos
quiet.
señores, PRI y PAN, están desde afuera observando cómo Morena se pelea, cómo el PT se pelea, cómo los seguidores de Noroña y los seguidores de Andrés Manuel López Obrador se pelean.
So they're watching how everybody is fighting amongst themselves.
El PRI y el PAN están observando desde lejos, carcajeándose seguramente bien.
And he says, and they're standing from afar, laughing their butts off, for sure.
Viendo cómo los seguidores del PT y de Morena se están acusando traidores unos con otros.
So how is it that now the Morena party and the PT party are accusing themselves of being traitors amongst themselves?
Y si hablamos más en crudo,
And if we speak more crudely,
y si hablamos más en crudo, aguanten, porque si
and so he says, if we speak more crudely, and he says, you got to be able to take it.
hablamos más en crudo, si hablamos de torcer la ley y empezamos a traficar
And if we start talking about twisting the law and trafficking
diputados,
in deputies,
perdón, pero el PT lo hizo.
but the PT party also did it.
Traficó diputados para poder ser mayoría.
They trafficked deputies in order to be able to be a majority.
¿Y qué hizo el PRI? Traficó diputados del PRD para darle la vuelta al
And so what did the PRI do? They trafficked for deputies from the PRD in order to get around the PT party.
PT y ser mayoría.
And so they could be the majority.
¿A qué están jugando?
So what are they playing at?
¿Y qué dice Morena? No nos vamos a prestar nosotros a eso.
And so why does Morena say, we're not going to lend ourselves to this?
Eso es una realidad, ¿eh?
And he says, that's the reality.
Y estoy viendo sus comentarios.
And I'm reading your commentaries.
Habrá muchos que se están molestando. Estoy leyendo muchos que
And there are a lot of people that seem to be bothered, and I'm reading all of these.
están escuchando con atención y
But they are listening attentively,
están reflexionando y están
and they're reflecting.
diciendo si es cierto.
They're saying, that's true.
¿Qué está haciendo ahorita el PRI y el PAN?
So what is the PRI and the PAN party doing now?
Calladitos.
They're quiet.
Están observando cómo nos destruimos.
They're observing us, how we destroy ourselves.
Y perdón, y difiero con mis compañeros youtubers, pero no hay que alimentar la división.
But I ask for forgiveness for my fellow YouTubers, but we must not contribute or feed this dissension.
Si seguimos alimentando la división, voy a volver a poner el tweet.
And he says, if we continue to do this, and I'm going to go ahead and put the tweet back on.
Si seguimos alimentando la división, los únicos ganadores es el PRI y el PAN.
Then if we continue, the only winners will be the PRI and the PAN party.
Sospecho que la campaña en contra de Morena por parte del PRI y el PAN está surgiendo efecto y no nos estamos dando cuenta. Ellos se la pasan diciendo que Morena es traidor y nosotros ya lo estamos repitiendo.
So he says, I'm suspicious of the that the PAN and PRI party are actually putting us at each other's throats, and they're starting to have the desired effect against us. Okay, let me see. It seems like I unlocked something in there. Okay.
¿Y por qué?
And why?
Por una mesa directiva que
Or what for? For a table of directors or directorship?
lo único que hace es conducir las sesiones parlamentarias.
And all they do is conduct the parliamentary sessions.
Nada más.
That's their only job.
Que si le pasa algo al presidente, que si esto, que si lo otro, tomará las riendas del país la secretaria de Gobernación.
And if anything were to happen to the president, the one that would take the reins is the secretary, Olga.
O por último, la Guardia Nacional en este caso,
Or then maybe the National Guard in this case.
el ejército,
It might be the military,
pero no el PRI.
but not the PRI party.
Entonces, hay que empezar a reflexionar un poco
So we must begin to reflect a little.
si vale la pena que nos sigamos dividiendo como lo estamos haciendo, porque vaya que hay división en este momento,
Because we need to see, is it right for us to be dividing ourselves? Because right now there's so much division.
vaya que hay división,
You can see so much division.
o vamos a seguir apoyando al presidente Andrés Manuel López Obrador junto con Morena. ¿Y por qué digo junto con Morena?
And so are we going to continue to support the president along with Morena? And why do I say along with Morena?
Y que la coalición en general, no solo Morena, Morena, PT,
And the coalition in general, not just PT.
¿y por qué hay que apoyarlos? Porque en el 2021
And so why must we support them? Because in the year 2021,
va a haber
there's going to be
esta coalición seguramente
this coalition, surely.
y tenemos que seguir.
And we need to continue.
No tenemos que desbaratar una transformación
We must not take apart this transformation
por una mesa directiva.
for a simple table of directors.
Y sí, dicen aquí, no, Morena es traidor, pues sí, así se ve.
Yes, but they say Morena's a traitor, and he says, well, it appears that way.
Quiero que escuchen este mensaje de Tatiana Cloutier.
And so I want you to listen to this message from Tatiana Cloutier. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on, and I've got to go do an errand, but you watch it, okay? Oh, no. I got to translate it, so you'll have to give me a moment.
A Tatiana, y también reconozco cuando la ha regado, pero quiero que escuchen vean con atención, escuchen con atención esto.
Hoy, 2 de septiembre, es un día muy importante para los diputados.
Today, the 2nd of September, September is a very important day for the deputies,
Y diputadas, pero sobre todo para los diputados de Morena y de la coalición.
and especially for the deputies of the Morena coalition.
Estaremos votando de alguna manera el quitarle el fuero, esa parte que nos hace iguales ante la ley, incluyendo al presidente.
And we're going to be voting also on taking the protections away, which makes us equal in a way to the president.
De la República. Esta es la última promesa que nos queda de campaña
And this is the last promise that we've got together from the campaign,
juntos al legislativo y al ejecutivo
from the legislative and the judicial powers,
para decir cumplimos con la agenda
so that we can say we complied with the agenda.
de los 13 puntos. Estamos votando o estaríamos votando tal vez el elegir quién presidirá la mesa directiva.
So we're voting to see who would preside on the director's table.
Hay una falacia con respecto a la mesa directiva.
And there is a fallacy regarding the director's table.
¿A qué me refiero con esto?
And what am I referring to regarding this?
Nos han hecho pensar o nos han vendido la idea de que quien preside la mesa directiva es
So we've been sold on the idea that whoever presides on that table
quien controla la Cámara
is the one who controls this I don't know, House, House of Representatives.
Y que si eso no está en manos de alguien confiable,
And so if this was not in the hands of somebody that we could confide in,
terminaríamos en un retroceso como
we would wind up in returning to something
cuarta transformación.
away from the fourth transformation.
Se equivocan.
But that is erroneous.
La mesa directiva se encarga de llevar a cabo el orden del día de
And so the only job of the table chairman is to take into order the matters of the day,
la propia sesión.
the sessions,
Es importante no subir el tono
and it's important not to raise one's tone
en términos de querer decir que traicionaríamos o no al país si
and by saying that we would be traitors to our country
votamos por A o B.
and if we voted for them.
¿Qué dice la ley?
But what does the law say?
La ley es muy clara y
The law is very clear
dice que en la mesa directiva es rotativa y que tiene que estar la tercera fuerza en la propia mesa directiva.
so that the third force or the one in third place would have to be in the third year.
Todo parece indicar que el que le toca en este momento sería el PRI.
And everything seems to indicate that who is supposed to get it is the pre-party.
Y esto no quiere decir que las cosas se hayan hecho bien. ¿A qué
And that doesn't mean that things were done well either.
me refiero con esto?
And what am I referring to with this?
Ha habido lo que llamamos históricamente es como tráfico de diputados.
What there was what we call historically a trafficking of deputies.
Y diputadas. Unos se mueven para acá, otros se mueven para acá.
Some move here, some move there.
Y lo que hacemos es crear mayorías ficticias o
And so what we do is we create fictitious majorities.
crear, al final de cuentas, en terceras fuerzas ficticias. ¿Qué es lo importante? Lo importante es que no te dejes engañar.
So what's important is that you do not allow yourself to be fooled.
Entonces, el que tenga la mesa directiva 1, 2, 3 o 4 personas con las cuales no estés de acuerdo, no quiere decir que nosotros perdemos poder o
So if they're in charge, it doesn't mean that we lose our power.
que perdemos influencia para que las cosas sucedan.
Or nor do we lose our influence for things to happen.
Es fundamental que entendamos que es mucho más importante tener la Junta de Coordinación Política porque esa es la que
But what's most important is to be joined in the political coalition,
realmente toma las grandes decisiones en la Cámara de Diputados.
because that's how you take the real decisions in the House of Representatives or deputies.
La mesa directiva se encarga de llevar la agenda y que
And so the directors, chairman, all they do is they take care of the directive agenda.
tiene puntos importantes, pero siempre hay un voto ponderado que balancea las decisiones de la presidencia de esta Cámara.
But there's always someone who would balance if there was some undecisiveness.
Hay, al final de cuentas, la importancia de hacer entender, nosotros como legisladores somos empleados de la sociedad, somos
So us as legislators, we're actually employees of the society,
empleados del pueblo.
and we are employees of the people.
Pero el pueblo nos da el mandato,
And the people give us our mandates.
pero eso no quiere decir que nos tiene que dar un mandato para violentar la ley.
But that doesn't mean that they can give us a mandate to violate the law.
Si votamos por Andrés Manuel, fue para cumplir la ley.
And if we voted for Andrés Manuel, it was in order to comply with laws.
Si votamos por Andrés Manuel fue para no hacer eso que los otros hacían.
And if we voted for Andrés Manuel, it's so that we would not do things that the others did.
Eso que nos hacían para poder violentar la ley y
Those things that they did to us in order to violate the law
salirse con la suya.
and to take advantage and come do what they wanted in their own way.
Dijimos que éramos diferentes y
And we said we were different.
hoy te tenemos que mostrar que somos diferentes.
And today we will demonstrate that we are different.
No te dejes llevar por lo que no es y realmente tenemos que entender que la cuarta transformación se da Cuando tú, ciudadano, te informas, la cuarta transformación se da cuando juntos podemos llegar a llevar a cabo tu mandato, pero siempre cumpliendo la...
So she says that the fourth transformation actually happens when you start paying attention to the laws, and then we can work making things happen that you mandate us.
ley.
Okay, and I think she was very clear and concise, and according to what I see so far of the regulations, she is correct.
Miren, no, ya está. Estoy leyendo que ahí me dicen que Morena me ha chayote y dice, no se pase.
So he's laughing because he says somebody put on there, is Morena paying you to say this?
Yo no recibo chayote de nadie. Es
He says, I receive no money from anyone.
que no me vengan a decir eso.
So don't come saying these things to me.
Miren, les voy a mostrar algo, porque ¿cómo es que podemos
So he says, I'm going to demonstrate something to you so that you can understand how it is that we
ayudar a que se aclaren las cosas?
and this is how we would help to clarify things or matters. So you can see there the three numbers that they were talking about. The first one is Morena, who was in charge the first year. And then the second year, it was the coalition of the PAN and PRD. And so the third year, it goes to the PRI. So this is the year, if you look at the coalition, that's the one that would supposedly be the one to be. So I guess what Noroña was looking at was the raw numbers, but they're talking about the coalitions, not just a particular party. As you can see, they group them together.
¿Cómo lo dijo el presidente? Dice aquí, vamos a leer, la vida dice,
So he says, so how did the president say it?
aquí el punto es que Morena votó por el PRI, el pueblo repudia al PRI, así.
And so the point here is that the people voted for the PRI, and the people are repudiating the PRI.
Y es fácil, eso es real.
And he says, and that's simple, and that's real.
Sí hay un repudio al PRI, pero si la ley dice
Yes, the people are repudiating the PRI, but if the law says,
como es a lo que iba,
and that's what I'm going to,
que acaba de decir el presidente, primer año el que tuvo más votos
so the first year it would be the one that had the most votes.
en la mesa directiva, ¿quién fue? Morena. Segundo año,
So he's saying now exactly what I said, but I'm gonna have to go a little faster than that, okay? So we're gonna end it right there.
¿y qué dice el presidente? No hay que torcer la ley.
So the president said we must not try to twist the law.
No hay que hacer eso.
We must not do that.
Entonces, a lo que voy, y creo que es lo más importante,
So what I'm going to now say now is, I think the most important thing,
no nos perdamos del camino.
let's not get lost on the way.
Si se está buscando una transformación real, que se respete la ley.
If we're looking for a real transformation, we need to respect the law.
Y nos estamos peleando por una mesa directiva que lo único que hace es coordinar, conducir las sesiones parlamentarias.
And we're fighting for a director's table that all it does is conduct the parliamentary sessions.
No tiene más función.
It has no other function.
Y aquí está, artículo 20, ustedes lo pueden buscar.
And that is Article 20, and you can look for it.
Yo no le estoy mintiendo, aquí está todo, se los acabo de leer.
And here is all of it, and I just finished reading it to you. And he's got, I didn't see the bottom ones, designate commissions in a courteous way that result with pertinent compliance to ceremonies. Elaborate the project in advance in the relative part for the statutes for which is the norm, and the service of the parliamentary road, I think it says, and affect the conference for the direction and programming of its works and legislative consideration, redirection, project, and instruction for the norms. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty clear. It just conducts.
Aquí está. Entonces, por una mesa directiva hoy, ¿en serio se está
So I think basically that was the most important part, and that's why I put this in the numbers in the beginning of my thumbnail, because I wanted you to see what I was talking about. Because, well, I was like, well, number 3 would be the PT party, but now I understand they're talking about the coalitions. So I can see how everybody got their feathers ruffled, but I think Juca's right. I think they're playing on our emotions and they're watching us and laughing at us. So I think we need to stand back and say, okay, the president was right. It's okay. They're not going to get anything from this, and no big deal. No big deal. I thought the world was coming to an end. But anyway, it was funny. When I saw this, I'm like, oh, okay. The big moment when you realize that, oh, I get it. Okay, thank you very much. Jose Ramirez, hola, ¿cómo estás? Jose Ramirez and the Botfather was with us. Anyway, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and close this session, this video. And I want to say thank you to the friends that dropped in. And besitos y abrazos para todos. Gracias por estar aquí conmigo y por acompañarme. Gracias a ustedes. Adiós. Que tengan buen día. Buena noche, es la madrugada. Bye.